This is Mahajia, and as you can see today, I look a little different, and that is because I have dreadlocks. And I actually want to talk to you about dreadlocks and where they originated, and actually the spiritual significance of dreadlocks, or as in India, as they call them, Shiva Jatas. So dreadlocks actually originated in India. Shiva is the first being ever to wear dreadlocks. And out in the West, a lot of people, when they see dreadlocks, they think of Jamaicans, they think of the country Jamaica, or they think of the music icon Bob Marley. But even though Bob Marley made dreadlocks really, really popular, he definitely made dreadlocks an icon for people to wear. The originator of dreadlocks, the trendsetter of dreadlocks, was definitely Shiva. So,
alright, Shalom. Before I start, I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashem Mahah, Wakakodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one and only true name is Yahushai. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who will well and teach well, because those are the men who I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Ashai. Peace, blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect, and shalom to you sincere brothers scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. I am the brother Mashiach Arazakah from the Servants of Yahweh Yahushai camp, Las Vegas, Nevada branch. And pretty much in this lesson, it's going to be titled as Dreadlocks Are Not an Israelite Custom. Dreadlocks are not an Israelite custom. And, you still got Jakes out there that's calling upon the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and all of those things. And they're teaching the scriptures with dreadlocks. Dreadlocks is not an Israelite custom, and that's a heathen custom. So this is going to cause a lot of people to automatically disagree. But that's fine, because you got Jakes in this thing that's claiming to be in the truth, and they have dreads, and they don't want to cut them. They don't want to get rid of them. So this is why you should really study and look up stuff. And then we're going to go into the Hebrew, in the Hebrew words of that word lock, because you got individuals that's they'll go to Numbers 6 and 5 and say that Samson had dreadlocks, and he did not have dreadlocks. He had plaits, And let's read this though, because I find this very I never read this, and I've done lessons on this video many times previously, and I never read this right here. She has something here, and it says dreadlocks originated in Hinduism in India from the three-eyed god. You see that? It says Shiva in this video is talked about the true spiritual significance of Shiva Jetas. And we're going to look up Jetas to validate that. Right? And it says, as they are popular known in India, dreadlocks are from Veda Agamas and was brought down to earth 6 billion years ago by Shiva himself. True sadist Indian Hindu monks wear them because they lead you to enlightenment. See that? She gave you the whole history of where dreads originated from. If you don't know who Shiva is a false deity. And if you're a Jake that's worshiping that, you're going to be destroyed, man. And let's get that, alright. Now, I just did a previous video of the Messiah, so Salaki on that. I did a previous video just now. Let's look up that word Jetta. Let's see if I'm spelling it right. Alright, Jetta's dreadlocks. Let's see. I'll just put Jetta there. Alright. It says, what is meant? Let me see. Salakia. Bear with me, brothers. I should have already had it written down. They want to show videos. It says, what is the meaning of Jetta here? Sometimes dreadlocks are called locks or locks, which they are called locks. But that's not what Samson had though. It says and for some Hindus They are a religious practice, a symbol of lack of vanity, and they're called jeta, or twisted hair. Words in the Christian Bible about allowing locks of her hair to grow without cutting the importance of Rastafarian followers, and that's incorrect. Because I'm going to prove to you in the scriptures that when you go into the meaning of that word lock in the scriptures, that's talking about a plait. But let's get what it means in Hinduism. That's what I want. I don't care about that, because we're gonna kill that in this lesson about that word lock. That's talking about a plait in the scriptures. That's not talking about a fucking dread. You can lock a dread, but you can't weave a dread. A plait, you can weave it. So we're gonna get rid of that. It says, what does Hindus call dreadlocks? It says the practice of jeta, dreadlocks. You see that? But you see how they try to put the word locks there into the Bible? That's talking about a plait. That's not talking about no fucking dread, man. It says, what do Hindus call dreadlocks? The practice of jeta, dreadlocks, is practiced in modern day Hinduism. And that's what I was looking for. Because this shit right here is incorrect. Where it says words in the Christian Bible about allowing locks of his head grow, that's talking about him having plaits. Samson had plaits. He didn't have no fucking dreads. Read right here. It says, what does Hindus call dreadlocks? It says the practice of jeta, dreadlocks, is practiced in modern day Hinduism, most notably by sadhus who followed Shiva. That's what I wanted. So that's what dreadlocks go back to. It goes back to the deity of Shiva. And for edification's sake, for those of you that are new and don't know what Shiva is, this is Shiva. Shiva is a false deity. This is Shiva. So when you have dreads, this is what they pretty much say. This is a spiritual bond with Shiva. When you put them fucking locks in your, not locks, but dreads. I'll say dreads, because lock is actually talking about a plait. But when you put a dread in your head and you form dreads in your head, this is who you're having a bond relationship with, which is wicked. That's not an Israelite custom. This is Shiva. This is Shiva right here, the thing with the four arms. All right. See, this is idolatry here. You see that, Shiva? So when you get dreads and you put dreads in your head, this is what you fucking doing. You're doing idolatry. You are doing idolatry. You see that? There's a lot of pictures we can show you of Shiva. This is idolatry here. So when you get dreads, this is who you having a bond relationship with. Shiva. That's the whole point into why they have dreads. And that's what was being said right here. The practice of jeta, dreadlocks, is practiced in modern day Hinduism, most notably by sadhus who follow Shiva. See that? So when you have dreads, I'm not going to say locks, because locks is talking about a plait when you read in the scriptures, which I'm going to prove in this lesson. So if you have dreadlocks, that's wickedness. That's not an Israelite custom. That's a heathen custom. So now that we did enough of that, now we're going to go into the scriptures, and we're going to prove that word lock there, we're going to give you the understanding of what a dread, we're going to give you the understanding of what Samson had. Samson had plaits, and they always try to use, you got individuals that's claiming to be in the truth, they use the Nazarite vow. They try to use the Nazarite vow as an excuse for them to have dreads. But dreads are not an Israelite custom. That's the thing. Dreads is not an Israelite custom. It's a heathen custom. The Elamites are the ones that have that custom. The Elamites do. And the Elamites are Indonesians. That lady that I showed you on, that's their custom. That's not an Israelite custom. Dreadlocks, dreads are not in the Bible. Dreads are not in the Bible. So let's read it. Numbers 6:1. Now this is what the Lord said unto Moses and to the Israelites, right? It says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel. This is what the Lord said unto Moses. And say unto them, when either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite. Now that word Nazarite, it goes into the word of, it means consecrated, which means to be separate. When you keep a Nazarite vow, it means to be separate. It means consecrated. Let's prove that. Everything I'm saying, I'm going to prove in this lesson. Because we know that dreads are not an Israelite custom. Alright, so when you go into the meaning of that word, let me get that word Nazarite at. Nazarite, right?
Strong's H5139. Nazir. Nazir.
That word Nazarite goes into the Hebrew word Nazir, which is H5139. Consecrated or devoted one, Nazarite, consecrated one. Right? It says devote, Nazarite, untrimmed vine. See that? It says Nazarite 12 times, undressed 2 times, separate twice. That word Nazarite, it means to be separate. Prove it. Strong's definition of Nazir, right? From H5144, separate, consecrated. You see that? It says it all down there. Read all them down right here. Nazarite, by false alteration with the Nazarite, separate. See? So that word Nazarite, it means to be consecrated, which means to be separate. That's what a Nazarite is. And in this society today, it's hard to keep a Nazarite vow. How is it hard to keep a Nazarite vow? We're going to show you. To separate themselves unto the Lord. So when you take on a Nazarite vow, it's a separation unto the Lord. You're doing a separation unto the Lord, right? And that word separate means to be holy. So that word again, Nazarite means consecrated. That word consecrated, it goes into meaning to be separate, which means to be holy. And this is why we can't keep a Nazarite vow. So you guys that got long hair, you can't keep a Nazarite vow in this society. It's very difficult to keep. Verse 3, it says, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink. So with a Nazarite vow, you can't drink wine. You can't drink liquor, alcohol. You can't eat anything of the vines. You can't eat tomatoes, grapes, right? Anything of the vine. Cherries. You can't eat anything of the vine tree. It says, he shall separate himself from the wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine, right? Or vine or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry. You can't eat raisins, tomatoes, grapes. You can't eat anything of the vine tree. Nothing of the vine tree with a Nazarite vow. You can't drink wine. You can't drink any of that with a Nazarite vow. It says all the days of his separation. It means to be separate. Remember, we just read that, the meaning for Nazarite. It says all the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree. So with a Nazarite vow, you can't eat anything of the vine tree. You can't drink wine, alcohol. Like you can't drink you can't drink any alcohol or eat anything of the vine tree. Right? Tomatoes, grapes, can't eat any of that. It says, shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree. See? You can't eat anything of the vine. It says from the kernels even to the husk. Verse 5, all the days of a vow of his separation shall no razor come upon his head. Right? Because with a Nazarite vow, you're not supposed to cut your hair. But you had it where, every year they would cut their hair. You had, prophets that had the Nazarite vow. You had Apostle Paul, he kept the Nazarite vow. You had John the Baptist, he kept the Nazarite vow, right? You had who else was one? Let me get it up for edification's sake. Who kept the Nazarite vow, right? And it's gonna tell you. This is why again it's always good to see. It tells you right here. Samuel was a Nazarite. Samuel kept it. It says judge, prophet of Israel. Samson was a Nazarite. Samson kept it. John the Baptist he kept the Nazarite vow. And you had Apostle Paul who kept the Nazarite vow. And let's see. It says which prophets took the Nazarite vow. You see? Let me see. There's more. It should be there. Apostle Paul even had the Nazarite vow. He kept the Nazarite vow. So it was Samson, John the Baptist, Samuel. I'm missing one. I want to make sure I get. I just want to make sure I get all the names, because last time I didn't get all the names. And I'm trying to remember, I'm missing a person. But if not, you guys get it. There's prophets that had the Nazarite vow. It was, I know Samuel was one. John the Baptist was one. Apostle Paul was one. And there was somebody else. I can't think of it in the lesson. That always happens all the time. But it is what it is. I don't want to spend too long. But y'all get it. You know, I said the names. If I miss one, brothers, can let me know. But just thinking off the top of the head, you know, you have prophets that kept the Nazarite vow. John the Baptist was one. Samuel was one. Apostle Paul was one. And I said John the Baptist, and there's somebody else. I forgot the other prophets. Like 4 of them that kept that have the Nazarite vow. But in this society, you ain't gonna be able to keep the Nazarite vow. It's very challenging to do that. And when you keep the Nazarite vow, it's not having dreads. It's having your hair long, having it in plaits, braids. That's what's keeping the Nazarite vow. You can't keep a Nazarite vow. They would cut their hair every year because the Passover would come. So when they would have a Nazarite vow, they would cut their hair. They would cut their hair, put it into the fire, do the sacrifice, right? The scriptures mention about that. They would cut their hair every year. So if you claiming to keep the Nazarite vow, you supposed to cut your hair, because when the Passover comes, you can't drink anything of the vine with a Nazarite vow. How you gonna be able to keep the Passover if you're keeping a Nazarite vow? You will have to cut your hair every year with a Nazarite vow. Verse 5, it says, all the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head. See? But you will have to cut your hair when the Passover comes. You gotta think about that. So you guys out there that saying you got a Nazarite vow, you got them long ass, you got long hair, or you claiming that dreadlocks is a Nazarite vow, you going off. Dreads is a heathen custom, and even if dreads was a Nazarite vow, you will have to cut your hair every year. You will have to cut your hair, grow it out, and then when the Passover comes, you have to cut your fucking hair again, because you can't keep the Nazarite vow on the Passover. You wouldn't be able to, you would have to cut your hair. You can't drink no alcohol. You can't drink wine or nothing with the Nazarite vow. So you have to cut your hair. You would have to cut your hair when the Passover came in. It says, until the days be fulfilled in which he separated himself unto the Lord, he shall be holy, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. So you got people that will read this precept right here, and they will say, see, we keeping a Nazarite vow because we have dreads. But dreads is not keeping a Nazarite vow. That's a heathen custom. Having plaits and braids and cornrows is keeping a Nazarite vow. Because pretty much that's what Samson had. He had cornrows, plaits, braids. He had braids. You could lock a braid and you can unlock it. A dread, you can lock it, but you can't unlock that shit. You either got to cut it out, or you got to use tons of detangler to take this shit out. You're going to have to get like 6-7 bottles of detangler to comb, because you can take it out that way, but it's going to take you a long fucking time to take that, especially if you got long ass dreads. It's going to take a long time for you to take that shit out, bro. You're going to have to use a lot of detangler to take that shit out. I've seen people do it where they had dreads and they used a lot of detangler, a lot of product, a lot of detangler to take all that dead hair out, because a dread is nothing but dead hair. That hair is not even alive when you're creating a dread. That's all dead hair that's just packed up together. Is just dead hair. That's all that's in your scalp is dead hair. That's why our hair is supposed to shed itself, and you just keeping it packed with all the buildup and product to keep that lock. You can wash your hair many times too, and your fucking hair still stays dirty. Trust me, I used to put myself out there. I used to have dreads before I came into this truth. I had dreads. I think I was at 2 years. My hair was like probably down to my shoulders. That shit was a lot. You either have to cut them fucking bitches off, right? You either have to cut them fucking bitches off, or you have to fucking use a ton of detangler to take that shit out. You gonna spend that shit gonna take months to take out, bro. Especially depending on how long your dreadlock journey is. If that shit is like 5-6 years, you got dreads going down your shoulders, one dread is gonna take you a week to take out. That's gonna take a long time. So you might as well just cut that shit off, man. Right? Now, I used to have dreads before I came into the truth. I had to cut them fucking bitches, man. Because I understand and realize that dreadlocks is not an Israelite custom. I had to fucking cut my hair off. There's nothing wrong with cutting your hair. It's gonna fucking grow back anyway. But dreadlocks is not an Israelite custom. You know? Verse 6, it says, all the days of his separation, it says, all the days that he separate himself unto the Lord, he shall come as no dead body. Meaning what? You can't be around no dead bodies with a Nazarite vow. So all you people that's saying you're keeping a Nazarite vow, you claiming to be in the truth, if one of your relatives die, you can't go to the funeral. You can't be around dead bodies. You can't be around no dead bodies with a Nazarite vow. Verse 7, it says, he shall not make himself unclean for his father, or for his mother, or for his brother, or for his sister when they die. So that means your parents or any relatives die that you close to, you can't even go to the funeral because you keeping a Nazarite vow. And I'm sure a lot of you Jakes ain't keeping that. A lot of you is drinking wine with a Nazarite vow, which you fucking going off. I'm sure you got Israel. I'm sure you Jakes is doing that shit. You talking about you keeping a Nazarite vow and you fucking drinking wine, bro. You drinking Moscato. You drinking, that's all wine. That's liquor, right? Not liquor, wine, right? So you fucking going off because you can't, with a Nazarite vow, you can't drink any alcohol, any wine, right? Or eat anything in the vine. I'm sure there's a lot of you fucking Drakes that's claiming to keep a Nazarite vows eating grapes. You eating up tomato because if you eating spaghetti, that shit is made of tomato sauce. So you fucking going off. I'm sure you eating spaghetti, right? You eating spaghetti, you know, a whole lot of other shit, and that shit got tomato sauce in it. You're not supposed to eat anything in the vine tree. I'm just giving an example. So you Jakes ain't keeping the Nazarite vow. You can't keep it. And Dreads is not keeping a Nazarite vow. You know, you got Jakes doing that. Oh, I'm keeping a Nazarite vow. I'm a Nazarite. But you ain't gonna be able to keep it in this society. You can't keep it in this society, man. Let's read that again. It says, because the consecration of the Most High is upon his head. Verse 8, all the days of his separation he is holy unto the Lord. So with a Nazarite vow, you can't be around no dead bodies, you can't drink any wine, any alcohol, or you can't eat any raisins or anything of the vine tree with a Nazarite vow. And I'm sure none of you dudes is keeping that. Verse 9, and if any man die very suddenly by him, right, it says, and he have defiled the head of his consecration, then he shall shave his head in the day of his cleansing. On the 7th day shall he save it. And that goes into, this is pretty much going, I'll stop it there, but that's pretty much going into the Nazarite vow, what they will have to do. Now, let's get to the main point, because I made this video long enough rambling. This is Judges 16 and 13. Now, this is what Delilah said onto Samson. And Delilah, she was a Philistine. She was a Hamite. She was a Philistine. She was a Hamite. She was not an Israelite, right? It says, and Delilah said unto Samson, right? Because she wanted to know what was his secret. Where is he getting his strength? Where is he getting his power from? She was wondering because Samson was strong as shit, man. And she was wondering how's he, you know, she was paid by the Philistines to know his secret. What is having him to be able to have that type of strength? That's what she was asking Samson. It says, and Delilah said unto Samson, hither thou hast mocked me and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. So he told her his secret, right? And you can't weave us a dread. You could weave a lock. You could weave us a lock, but you could weave us a plait, but you can't weave us a dread, man. You know, you could lock a dread, but you can't unlock it. A plait, you could lock it and unlock it. And we're going to prove that. Now, when you go into the meaning of that word locks, and I just want to get to the main point because I rambled long enough. Right? It goes into the Hebrew word H4253, which is
Strong's H4253. Machlafoth. Machlafoth.
Right? H4253, which is braid. You see that there? Braid. lock plait. That's what Samson had. He had a plait. That lock is referring to the plait and braid. That's what a lock is. Let's prove that. Now we're going to go into the etymology of plait. You see that? Now look. Plait. To fold something, gather in pleats, double in narrow strips, also braid, to braid or weave something. You can't do that with a fucking dread. You can lock it, but you can't, I'm talking about one dread. You can't fucking weave a dread, man. You can weave a lock. You can weave a lock, which is a plait. A plait, you can weave it. You know, you form a lock. When you braid, that's already locking it. You're locking it as you're braiding. If you get a plait, just look at one plait. You're locking it already. And then when you're taking it out, when your hair, you start getting new growth in the bottom of the base of your hair, then you unlock your braid. How you do that? You use the comb and you unlock it. You take the braid apart. You unlock it. A dread, you can lock the shit, but you can't unlock it. You're gonna have to use tons of fucking detangler to take out that one dread. You're gonna have to use tons of detangler. You're gonna have to get your fucking dread really fucking wet, and you're gonna have to use hella detangler to take that shit out. You can do that, or you're gonna have to fucking cut all your fucking hair out. A plait, you don't have to do that. You could just braid the shit and unbraid it. You can braid the shit and unbraid it. That's locking it and unlocking it. You can weave it a plait, which is a braid, but you can't weave a fucking dread though. You can't. And I'm gonna give you an example from a dread, right, to a plait. See, this is a dread. Let me see if I can get. You see this right here? Look. And plus too, look at it. His hair is fucking falling out. But if you see that's a dread. You see how that is? He can't take that shit out unless he use hella fucking detangler. Get his hair wet, really wet, use hella fucking detangler, and that's gonna take him a long time to take out. That shit's gonna take him a long time to take out, man. That dread is gonna take a lot to take out. That's a lot of one dread is a lot of napped up hair stuck together. See, you see how that dread is? Just think about that. Look. That's her new growth at the bottom. That hair ain't locked. It ain't dreaded, should I say. It ain't dreaded. You see that? She could unravel that down there at the base. But once she passed from that base, all of that hair right at the end of it is all dead hair. So that one hair that she got in her scalp, she's going to have to get all that hair out. That's all dead hair. For her to take all that dead hair out to get her natural hair, she's going to have to use hella fucking conditioner just to take that lock out, to untake all that lock out. That's all dead hair. Just that one dread right there, that's right here that I'm looking at right here. That's one dread right here. That's gonna take at least 2-3 weeks to take out. She's not gonna be able to take that shit out in one day. That's gonna take weeks. That's a lot of dead hair. That's all dead hair. I'm using these women as an example, but it's the truth. That's all dead hair. That's all dead hair, man. You see, this is example here. You got these type of dreads. These are comb coil twists that he got in right here. So if you see anybody with that, this is dreads. He just got his hair braided. You see what I'm saying? He got his hair cornrow braided. He got his dread cornrow braided. But still, that's not plaits. That's still a dread. Samson didn't have dreads. That's a heathen custom. And this is freeform dreads here. You see that? Even that. You can't take that shit out. He's going to have to cut his hair. All his hair is just napped up. Trying to say that Samson walked around like, look at this. You trying to tell me Samson walked around like this? No, the hell he didn't. That's all dead hair. That's all dead hair. He has to cut that shit out, man. They have to cut these shits out, man. These are dreads. See that? These are freeform dreads, though. That's going to take a lot. That's going to take a lot of time to take out, man. All types of dreads. Freeform dreads. You got people that got freeform dreads. You got people that got these fucking comb coil dreads. And you got the other type of dreads too. The crochet needle dreads. Where they get their shit crocheted with the tool to lock. To dread up. Now let's look at a plait. Cause you see a dread, you can lock this shit, but you can't take that shit out. You can't. Unless you use tons of you're gonna have to use tons of fucking conditioner, a lot of detangler or conditioner to take that shit out. That's gonna take a long time. Now plait, let me see. See? Now these dudes got all these high top hay cuts, but this is what Samson had. Right here. You see that braids? That's a plait, which is a lock. When he has 7 locks, he has 7 braids. Because you can get 7 braids, man. 7 braids. You see that? This is what Samson had. This is a perfect example. This is what Samson had. 7 braids. He had plaits. He didn't have no damn dread in his head, man. He didn't have a dread. He had plaits. Braids, man. Plaits. These are a perfect example here. This is what he had. You see that? Plait. You see how it's locked? You can unlock it. All you gotta do is comb it. Comb through it, break it apart, and that's unlocking it. You can lock a braid and you can unlock it. A dread, you can lock it, but you can't unlock the shit. So hey man, I'm not gonna make this a long thing. You seen what it is. Dreadlocks is not an Israelite custom. Dreadlocks is not an Israelite custom. We proved to you that word lock in the scriptures is talking about a plait. That's not talking about no fucking dread. It don't say nothing about dread there. It says lock, braid, plait. So Samson had braids. And yes, you can braid dreads, but one dread, you can't fucking braid that shit. So it's not talking about dreads. Dread is a heathen custom. It's not an Israelite custom. It's not an Israelite custom. Alright? Braids is an Israelite custom, but not no fucking dreads. A dread is not a custom. See? Just giving an example. You see that? This is what Samson had. He had braids. Plaits, man. Braids, plaits, braids. See that? Braids. That's what Samson had. He didn't have no damn dread, man. He didn't have no dreadlocks. Why the fuck would he follow a custom of a heathen? You gotta think about that. Samson's not gonna follow a custom of a heathen if he was an Israelite. He was a Danite. He was a Danite. So, hey, Lord willing, that's what's edifying, man. Till next time I say, Shalom.